So the way I was recruited was I signed up to be a course rep for my course, which is Forensic and Analytical Science. And at the training for that, they mentioned the faculty exec rep role. And I kind of found it quite interesting. I actually did a placement working within health and wellbeing, so I thought it was really going to complement the things I'd already done. So I decided to put my name forward and then was successful with the little paragraph I had to write and went from there.
Fantastic. I got recruited by my lecturer. He came up to me and asked me personally if I wanted to be part of this role, and I of course accepted, and then started going to meetings via induction beforehand and really started to get stuck in with the role.
The one I remember was we were in the Students' Union and there was a bit of an icebreaker with like name bingo, and you had to find someone that fit all the categories, like someone that has a C in their name and things like that. And then it was just letting you know what the actual role was and the kind of thing that would be expected of you.
Okay, for my induction, I met with a few staff members and a few other new members in Robert Winston building, and we kind of discussed what the role was about and what the expectations of ourselves were, and what we were going to do in the role.
So I've sat on 2 different boards. One was the academic board, which was really interesting because that's obviously where the entire the entire faculty come together, and they're discussing things like recruitment and like different policies that are across the faculty. And that was really interesting. My placement was in outreach and recruitment, so it's good to see the comparison of where I was delivering activities in school to where they were with like student numbers.
Okay, for mine we kind of discussed the attendance rates, employability, Turnitin, numerous topics, and this was all in the departmental board. So I'd express my views upon these topics so that the other lecturers could understand from my perspective what I thought about them.
Yeah, I think like the really good thing was on the ones that I sat on when they say, so what do students think about this? And it's your chance to kind of put your point across, because obviously these are like really high up people across the faculty who aren't students, but they see it from their perspective. So it's good to sort of like put in what you actually think about it.
I wouldn't say they're pushy either. They would ask and they'd consider your views. They'd really appreciate your views as well. They'd leave you a little bit of time to think about it. They'd send you the information beforehand so you could prepare your answers if you needed to as well, which I found really beneficial.
Yeah, and I think at the meetings I went to as well, we had a student rep part on our agenda, so there was like a designated time for us to talk rather than trying to jump in when people were doing their bits, which was quite nice because you knew you had that sort of 5-10 minutes to put your views across of whatever's happening in the meeting or anything that you'd thought of beforehand, because like you said, you get to read all the papers and things like that, so you are quite well prepared when you actually walk into the room. Yeah,
and it's not as if the lecturers don't listen to you, they really appreciate your view as well. So they're not talking to each other, they're sitting there listening to what you've got to say because they want to improve it themselves as well.
Makes you feel quite important, doesn't it?
Yeah, slightly. Yeah.
So the main difference I found from being in both was that as a course rep, I was constantly asking like my fellow course mates for feedback, like were there any issues they wanted me to raise, even though necessarily I may have not really agreed with what they wanted to say. It's more of like embodying what representation is and putting everything across. And then I found that like a faculty rep more interested in like your opinion. So you go to a course rep and you're very representational and you're this student's had this issue, is there anything we can sort it out, and then feeding it back. Yeah, I think it's been quite easy for me to fit it around my study. From my perspective, the way it kind of works is you'll get an email maybe about 2 weeks before the meeting, and then obviously you can check your calendar, do you have anything in? And if ever I've had to not go to anything, they've been really understanding, like, thank you for letting me know, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, obviously, if you can go, they're happy to send out the papers. For a couple of meetings, I even got, like, the papers printed for me, so I could read them at my leisure before going to the meeting rather than, like, having to scroll through my phone. And there's not that many meetings to go to, so it really is a nice way to sort of, like, get involved with different things and feel that you're doing a bit more without sort of, like, putting your whole time into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it takes up too much time. It's just something extra that comes with university, and it adds a few benefits, such as you get to meet a few more members of staff who are a bit more higher up than you imagine. You get to realise the extent in which the university is structured, and yeah, it's a great way to meet new people and which are in a similar position to you who want to help out other students. However, in terms of time, you do get the time to do other activities around it, and it looks good on your employability as well for the future. It's a new talking topic, and people really appreciate you're hearing that you want to help other people as well as just yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, I don't know about you, but whilst doing this role, I've also been a course rep, had a part-time job, and then also been involved in like societies. I'm a union council chair for the union, so I've kind of felt that it's not taking up all my time, and I can still do all the extra things that I want to do and bob along in life.
But like you said, you get all the papers beforehand. They get sent to your help desk, and you do get to read them leisurely, about 2 weeks in advance. And that just gives you a bit of a forefront for the meeting, and you get to feel a hell of a lot more confident.
For one of mine, I did for the academic board. Karen Bryant, who's obviously like the head of health and wellbeing, she invited us all to go in and to meet her, and it was really nice, really, because obviously she's very high, and I think I was quite nervous and like meeting her, and she was like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you, and like you'll be coming to this meeting, and this is what happens here." And it was a really nice putting you at ease that you know you're worlds apart. And you don't feel it in that moment, and so then when you go to the meetings, like, and she recognises you, and she's like, "Oh, hello again." You're like, oh. You feel like you understand a little bit more and felt a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same. During my induction, I got to meet the secretary, and it was just really, really comforting when I got there for the meeting. They'd introduce themselves again, just in case I'd forgotten. However, they'd just be really supportive during the meeting, before the meeting and after the meeting. So how did you find it? Do you think there's any ways we can improve? And ways such as that, yeah.
Yeah, I think they make you feel at ease because you know they actually want to know what you have to say, as opposed to you're not there to meet a quota of the meeting, you're actually there to play a part.
Yeah.
I think like there's obvious ways of, obviously you can apply for the Hallam Award and you're learning different skills, but even if you don't go for like, you know, official recognition, I've learned like a lot more confidence. So knowing that I can maybe walk into a room and actually hold my own, as opposed to sort of like, oh, well, can I say something? You feel a little bit more confident. Obviously, the first time I said something, I was like shaking and I didn't know what to expect. But then when everyone nods and agrees with you, you think, oh, I've got this. Like, I actually know what I'm doing. So, yeah, so you feel a lot more confident, and you feel that, you know, when you are going to interviews and you're with people that you don't know, or when you've got that job and you're going to meetings, the people that are your boss's boss's boss, you feel that, you know, you can actually raise your opinion and represent other people that you work with in a much better way than maybe I may have done before, because you've got that sort of like mindset of how to do it now.
Yeah, definitely. From my perspective, some of the lecturers I've met have introduced me to new opportunities as I've gone along. So they understand my background now when, for example, the topic of employability's come up, and I've mentioned all the opportunities Sheffield Hallam have provided me with. So they know what I want to do in the future, and they keep forwarding me emails through of things I can do in the future just to enhance my employability even further. I'd agree with the fact that it improves your skills as well, communication skills, professionalism, because you're communicating with people you don't necessarily know beforehand, but you want to make the best impression of yourself because they are high up in the university. So, yeah, it provides you that professional skill which will really benefit you for the future.
I definitely would. I've actually really enjoyed it. I'm quite a nosy person, so being able to nose in on like sort of how the whole sort of like faculty ticks along. So I think from my perspective, before I did my placement, I had a very like sheltered view of health and wellbeing. I knew of biosciences and that was it. And especially across the two campuses, like biosciences is the only health and wellbeing department at City. So that's it. That's your little cut off. But I think knowing far more about how it all works, and I want to go into teaching. So for me to understand like when I'm talking to students what I can say about universities, and rather than just, oh, it's really good to go, you know more about like how it all works and all the planning that goes into things, you know. Yeah. It's not an easy job, but I'd definitely recommend it. I think I've grown in a lot of different skills, and I think it's going to really benefit me in the future. Yeah,
I'd agree. I've improved a lot of skills, and the role hasn't really taken up too much time. it's really comforting. It's a good way to get to know new people, and the opportunities kind of have came in my way ever since I applied for, I've gained a role from the lecturer that put me in front of it. So it's improved my knowledge of the university, I'd definitely say that. The structure of the university, I didn't really know how the university worked as a forefront. I just knew certain lecturers from my undergraduate course and my postgraduate course, but it was great to see how big the actual department was. When I just saw the sports department, I never realised there was going to be that many lectures there. I saw some faces I found familiar, but I saw some faces I'd never seen before. But it was good to get to know them, and now it's an extra network as well.
Yeah, definitely. You build connections and you get to know people that you probably never would have met in any walk of life. I think one thing as well is, I know I was guilty of this, when you're walking around university and you think every person that's got a staff badge is a teacher. That's what they do. They're a teacher. This is the university. They teach. But like getting to know that all the different roles that kind of come together and make the whole university kind of flow was really like insightful to know that, you know, if ever I did want to work in a university, all those opportunities that are there. And like you said, like building connections with people that, you know, you never would have really met otherwise.